Welcome, friends and family and loved ones, to a very somber occasion. This month we are mourning the loss of a friend, a beloved one, and perhaps one whose time was cut far too short. I'm speaking, of course, of the Wii U, but funerals are celebrations, my friends. They are not just sad affairs. So, we are going to take you through time to look back on all the smiles and the tears and the good times we've had with the Wii U, and also maybe, a couple things that it could have done a little better. So, as always, I'm Matthew Taranto.
And I'm Chris Seward.
And we are Brawl in the Family, bringing to you another podcast. It's the end of an era, my friends. Nintendo's 7th console has come, and I guess we could pretty much officially say it's gone. The Wii U has ceased production as of about 2 weeks ago or so. They're not making any more. So what's out there is it. So if you want one, better go to your local Walmart or Kmart or some mart and pick it up, because you're not going to see new Wii U's on the shelves for very much longer.
Do you think that in the end, the Wii U is going to actually be the least produced console? Like, will there be the least Wii U's compared to the other main consoles Nintendo's produced?
Probably so.
Sounds like it, because the lifespan of the Wii U really was only about 4 years compared to...
Yeah, that's shorter than average.
Yeah, it's shorter than any other Nintendo console.
Yeah, and were the sales, pretty much the lowest of the Nintendo systems? I don't know if the 64 or GameCube sold less.
The GameCube sold about 21.7 million consoles. The Wii U sold 13.5.
Okay, what about the 64?
The N64 was 32.9, so much better.
Okay, so the Wii U, officially the smallest number of them are out there of all the Nintendo systems. Well, home consoles. I mean, I'm sure there are less Virtual Boys out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I were a gambling man, I kind of am, to be honest, I would bet that the Wii U will become kind of a collector's sort of cult favorite at some point down the line. So they want to hang on to that thing.
Yeah, because even though there isn't a huge library on it, there's a lot of games that are on it that really can't be done on any other console. Game & Wario, for example, it'd be hard to port that to the Switch or any other console because of the way it uses the gamepad. And I would have loved to see more games that are really focused on that sort of functionality. I was a little disappointed that a lot of games didn't.
Yeah, and the Switch is not backwards compatible, of course.
Yeah.
So it's got one screen that you can switch between, but not actually the two screen gameplay.
Yeah.
So I'm not exactly sure what they're going to do in the future with like virtual console stuff for the Wii U games.
I assume they're going to do some pretty good ports where they'll take something on the Wii U and like Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, for example. I bet we'll see that on the Switch at some point, just as a I don't know, $30 game maybe.
And they just kind of figure out a way around the gamepad usage.
Yeah, because that game didn't terribly use the gamepad, did it?
I mean, but outside of off-TV play, I don't think it was used at all, really.
And most games, unfortunately, were like that. So all the games that would fall under that umbrella, I think it's safe to say we'll see them on the Switch. I know that Reggie said something about, gamers are asking us to put Wii games on the Virtual Console, which would be really cool. I think, having the Virtual Console be 2 generations behind, though, I don't see why you would limit it to that, because the Switch is obviously capable of playing Wii U games. So I guess it's really the gamepad functionality that they have to work around to make it Switch compatible.
I don't know, maybe. But it would be extra work, like you're saying. They would have to figure out a way around using the gamepad in some games. So it'd be a little tricky.
I guess a game like a Wii game that uses the motion controls a lot, the Switch could still do that, because the Joy-Con has similar capabilities to the Wii Remote Plus, I believe.
Well, it does. I don't think it has an IR pointer.
It has. Well, it does have that. It has an IR thing
on the bot. That's true, but I don't think it works quite the same way. I don't know if you can actually shine it like a flashlight at the screen.
Okay,
but I mean, maybe.
We don't know.
But we won't let Switch talk dominate for this podcast.
No.
We can save that for the next podcast, because today we're talking about the Wii U and its lifespan. So let's start from the beginning. 2012, all right? It's November 2012. The Wii U has just launched, and I am at the store at midnight trying to get one. As it turns out, no one else was really there for one, which was a little bit of a warning sign. But I mean, I was still excited. I got there. I got my my black Wii U. It came in 2 versions. It came with the cheesy white one, which was had something like 8 gigabytes of memory. It's not a lot. And then the black one, which was $50 more and came with Nintendo Land. It came with 32 gigs of memory. It came with a couple little accoutrements, like this stand that could charge the gamepad that is actually honestly very useful. Anyway, I got that version. I got Nintendo Land with it, and I got New Super Mario Brothers U, which was their launch Mario game. Obviously, it wasn't a game on the caliber of something like Super Mario 64, but it was cool to have an actual like Mario game at launch. Even so, I think honestly one of the first issues with the Wii U's launch was something that the 3DS did. Nintendo, in kind of a case of kind of remarkably bad timing, released New Super Mario Bros. 2 3 months before the Wii U came out. And at this point, I mean, New Super Mario Bros. 2, it was okay. It wasn't really that great. I mean, I think most people kind of agree that it felt like more of the same with kind of the coin gimmick and stuff, just adding a little bit of extra flair. So by the time the Wii U rolled around, you know, people were kind of getting a little tired of the New Super Mario Bros. Series. I think it would have been smart to delay New Super Mario Bros. 2 a few more months, maybe past the Wii U launch or something, give it a little bit more of that push, and I don't know, that may have helped out a little bit.
My perception was that a lot of the problems that the console had in catching on were really based on its name and its design. The fact that all the marketing and visibility was placed on the gamepad, and the name Wii U really made it sound like an add-on to the Wii. I knew people who are Nintendo fans who own a Wii U now and they like it a lot, but they thought, that's just an extra thing for the Wii.
Yeah, this was definitely an issue starting with the initial reveal at E3.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right about that. I mean, I feel like I'm the only one on the planet who still likes the name Wii U, but I understand why it's a problem now, because we're at an age where we get incremental upgrades to systems now.
Yeah.
It didn't used to be that way. You could release the Nintendo 64 and the GameCube, and they were already automatically understood to be fully different systems. With the Wii U, I mean, yeah, it's using the Wii name, but let's look at another example. You have the Nintendo Entertainment System, and then you have the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. In today's day and age, the SNES would be a bad name because people think, it's just slightly better, PS4 Pro kind of thing for the NES. But it worked then because that market didn't exist. So when the Wii U was announced, that market had started to exist, partly because of Nintendo's own marketing, like what they've done with the DS lineup, DSi, DS Lite, and then the 3DS had started to catch on then too. So there was confusion about what's a fully new system that's going to play new games and stuff, and what is actually just an incremental upgrade. And you're right, they showed the gamepad a lot, but not the system itself, which made it look like the gamepad was kind of an add-on, a peripheral. So yeah, that was definitely a stumbling block kind of right out the gate.
And the price didn't help either. I think, wasn't it $349?
It was $349, yeah, for the higher end model.
Yeah.
It was $299 for the lower end one, which is a little high for a Nintendo system. I think it's Nintendo's most expensive price for a system at launch, because the GameCube was $199.99. That was kind of a surprisingly low price. The Wii was $249.99, and it came with a game, which was nice. And the Nintendo 64 was $199.99 as well.
Wow.
Yeah, this was like $150 more than the 64. Granted, different technology, different economy, and whatever.
Right.
But even so, you look at the Switch price now. They've kind of gone a little bit lower than that. They're going back to $300, which is a good place. No, I'm not going to talk about Switch. No Switch. No Switch today. Switch tomorrow. Switch another day. Today is about the Wii U. So the Wii U was a little too much when it came out.
What do you think about when the Wii U was released? Like, it was released kind of in between generations. So the Xbox One and the PS4 came out like a year later.
Between generations is kind of subjective, like it released 6 years after the Wii did.
Yeah.
So
it's pretty good.
I mean, I don't think that's really between generations. I think the other guys released a year after the new generation started. So how about that?
Okay.
It's kind of I guess you could look at it as kind of a Dreamcast scenario where it's not as powerful.
Yeah.
So then the third parties have to decide, like, are we going to go all out with power? Are we going to develop for a Nintendo system that has a year head start, or what?
Yeah, and that was kind of a double whammy against the Wii U, was that it was significantly less powerful than the other consoles, and it sold a lot less. So when developers are looking, what console should I put my game on? It's like, why would it's a really hard sell to put it on the Wii U, unless they have like a game that's really designed to use the gamepad, which not many games did. they're looking at, okay, we got a lot more capabilities on these more powerful consoles that have sold like, 2 to 3 times as many consoles as the Wii U. It's just rough.
Yeah, they had that established user base. Now, the Wii U's launch, I think it was all right. It wasn't Nintendo's best launch, but I think it's better than some of their systems. They've had about 30-ish games. It's a pretty healthy number of games. And several of these were upgraded ports from other systems. They're, maybe a few months old with some new accoutrements. I think the standout title for third-party games was called Zombie U. It was from Ubisoft.
Yeah.
And it had a fair amount of fans. I rented it shortly after the Wii U launch, and it was a pretty cool game. It's a survival horror game, and you actually play as different characters. So each time you die, you lose that character forever, but then you wake up as someone else, and you have to go get that character's stuff and continue their journey. So it used the Wii U gamepad in cool ways. Like you could look down and rummage through your backpack, and you have to look up and see if there's zombies coming and stuff. It had a pretty good sound design. It was a pretty neat game. It wasn't flawless or anything, but it had some neat ideas. And my actual favorite game for the launch was Nintendo Land. I'm a big proponent of Nintendo Land. I'm a big fan of it, and I think that it had several of the games in Nintendo Land were fairly in depth and a lot of fun. You had 3 games that were really good for parties and multiplayer. And to this date, I think Nintendo Land is really the game that appealed the most to my non-gamer friends, my friends and family. Like, we could play Mario Chase, or we could play the Luigi's Mansion one, or my personal favorite, the Animal Crossing Sweet Day, where you're like eating the candy and barfing it up and stuff. It was a lot of fun. It's easy to learn. It had the cool asynchronous or asymmetrical, I get them mixed up, asymmetrical, I think, multiplayer, where one guy is the gamepad and a little more power, and everyone else is kind of teaming up against him. Very Mario Party-ish. But one of the unsung virtues of Nintendo Land were its co-op modes, which are the Zelda game, the Metroid game, and the Pikmin game. Hey, Zelda game on the Wii U, there you go. There's your Zelda game, Legend of Zelda Battle Quest on Nintendo Land. So it was actually pretty fun for what it was. There's a bunch of levels. They have these different challenges, like going through the stage without getting hit and stuff, and everything's made of felt. So it's like a Yoshi Story kind of fabric-y thing mixed with Zelda and Mii's. It worked for me. And let's see, the Metroid game had really good controls. You even fight like Kraid and Ridley at some point. And what was the other one? Oh, the Pikmin game was kind of this fun beat 'em up, actually, where you kind of increase your strength and you go around stages and fight waves of enemies and stuff. So, all in all, I got a lot of enjoyment on Nintendo Land, and that was kind of what I played for a while during the launch.
But I have one big problem with Nintendo Land. Okay, last time I mentioned Nintendo Land, I was like, they should have included it with all the consoles. It probably didn't sell that much. But then somebody commented and said that it's actually the 3rd highest selling Wii U game. That includes the bundle in copies. And not all Wii U's included it as a bundle in copy. My problem with it is, if you look at the Wii, I think part of the reason it was so successful was that every Wii came with the Wii Sports.
Yeah.
Wii Sports demonstrated the console's strengths very nicely. It was pretty fun. It was great to share with friends and family who don't really play games. It was really the perfect pack-in. Nintendo Land strikes me as a similar perfect pack-in. And that they didn't include it with every console bugs me.
It was probably not the smartest idea in hindsight. I'm a little worried about 1-2 Switch for a similar reason.
Yeah, I was gonna.
Wait, we can't talk about the Switch. Don't switch. We need a Switch buzzer every time we talk about Switch during this podcast. But yeah, it was included with the deluxe version, not with every version.
Yeah.
So yeah, a little more exposure to the game would have been a boon. So that was our launch year. Let's move on to 2013. This is when the Wii U started to really hit its stride. We had releases like Pikmin 3, The Wonderful 101, Super Mario 3D World, Rayman Legends, Wind Waker U, Wii Fit U. There was a DuckTales Remastered, which was kind of fun, and Game & Wario, a game that few people really talk about. But Chris, you want to talk about Game & Wario for a minute?
Yeah, I liked it a lot. That's one of the early games that really used a lot of the gamepad's functionality. It's a really fun party game. If Game & Wario had twice as many games, like mini games in it, I think it'd be like a 9.5 out of 10 game. Unfortunately, there's kind of a limited number of games. There's only like 3 dedicated multiplayer games, and the rest are single player, which there's like a dozen. I'm just going by memory here.
It's close to that, yeah.
And so, like, if it had twice that many, it would be like a system seller. Like, I'd be all over it. As it is, though, the games are really fun. It uses the asymmetrical gameplay a lot for the multiplayer. There's a pretty good amount of replayability for some of them, like the patchwork game where you like, it's like a puzzle game, but there's like hundreds of different puzzles.
Bunch of them.
So it's like a nice relaxing game you can play.
Man, I gotta say, Game & Wario is a real crowd pleaser at just any get together.
Yeah.
Like, I can just say, hey, guys, say to my parents, you want to play Pictionary? Or say to my in-laws, you want to play Pictionary? They're like, yeah. So we just open up the sketch game, and you could do up to 5, players. I play with, like, my nieces, they like taking the silly pictures at the beginning with the camera of themselves, and then just, drawing on the gamepad. It's really good use of the gamepad, and the Islands game is just a lot of crazy fun as well.
Yeah.
So I usually play one of those two when playing multiplayer. And there's one other game I want to give like crazy props to, and that is Gamer, which is a really great concept where you're playing as 9-Volt, this kid who's playing games past his bedtime. So he's lying in bed playing his like Game Boy Advance or whatever, and you're playing you're playing WarioWare games on your gamepad, while on the screen on the TV, your mom is walking around, skulking around outside and stuff, and whenever she peeks in, you got to hide under your covers and act like you're asleep. So you're really your focus is split between the two screens, but it's awesome because they really play up this horror element with the mom. And she starts doing stuff like smashing the window with her head and peeking in, and her eyes are glowing, She pops out of the TV like the girl from The Ring, and it's just like terrifying because once you get to the later levels, she'll actually crawl out of the TV and start stomping around the room, and it'll play this music that sounds like and her eyes are glowing the whole time, or she'll skulk up like a demon, like scurry up to your bed really fast and look at you really close. It gets really intense. Like, I played through all 3 levels, and it's ridiculous. It's a great little mini game for the game.
Looks like it didn't sell more than 1 million copies. Looks like there's really only about a dozen games that sold 1 million or more copies.
Yeah.
For the Wii U, which is kind of not great.
Not great.
But
I do want to mention some of these other games real quick. Wii Fit U, I still play every now and then. Right now, I like Wii Fit, and this one was actually free if you bought the Fit meter for $20. You could get a free version for the first month, which was cool. Rayman Legends was a big point of contention for me because that was going to be done in February, but then they delayed it just to have a simultaneous release on all systems. And I think this really hurt the Wii U's lineup because it had this big drought after launch, and that would have been a perfect game to fill that. It ended up being a really good game, but it was very frustrating at the time. Mario 3D World, it's a 3D Land sequel. It wasn't quite the Galaxy sequel that I wanted. It was good for what it was. I just I feel like Nintendo was not quite putting forth their best foot with some of the Wii U library. Like, does that make sense, Chris? Like, it feels like with the Switch, especially. I talked about the Switch again. All right.
I hear what you're saying.
With Zelda coming out on Wii U on March 3rd, with Zelda, it looks like they're trying to make the best game possible, but with some of these games like Mario 3D World, it feels more like we need a 3D Mario game. 3D Land was successful, let's do one for the Wii U, pop it out in a year or two, and bada bing bada boom. I don't know why I'm Italian now. I don't know, is that Italian or is that like a New York thing?
It's kind of a New York Italian.
New York Italian. All right, whatever. Mario would be proud. Does Mario live in Brooklyn still? Is that still a thing?
Now with the
Wait, you can't say it. You can't do it. You can't talk about the next Mario game.
I think
it's not on the Wii U.
Brooklyn is his only semi-canonical hometown, aside from the Mushroom Kingdom.
That's true. All right, that tangent aside, I also want to make special mention of Pikmin 3, which I think may have been my favorite. Yeah, that was my favorite Wii U game of 2013. Pikmin 3 is really great. I got a ton of playtime out of it. It's really polished. It's a lot of fun. There's this mission mode in the game where you can you go for these high scores and these medals, and it's just super addictive. Like I found it completely addictive to go through and just perfect my runs, using the gamepad to direct everyone around and thinking, okay, this way I could do this faster if I throw these Pikmin up here and then throw 4 Pikmin over here. And it's just a really great game. It's got a great multiplayer. It's got a co-op mode for all the missions. It's got a really fun story mode. I think it's the best in the series, and I think the series as a whole is very, very good too.
Yeah. What I loved about that game was the fruit and the juice. The juice
Oh,
was
so juicy.
so juicy.
Yeah, we did have a podcast about Pikmin 3. I remember that now.
Yeah.
We had a full podcast devoted to it, and half of that was us gushing about the gushy fruit.
Yeah, I'll link it here on the video.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I liked the game. It kind of introduced some of the pressure that the first Pikmin had that the second Pikmin didn't.
Right.
So you sort of felt at some points in the game like, oh, I got to get some juice or I'm gonna die. You know, we can't continue the game unless you get enough juice.
Yeah, but it's still generous enough to not quite alienate people,
Right.
in the way that the first game did sometimes.
Which is
not me,
no,
but some people.
Not me either. I really liked the first one. I liked the first one for that element, probably better than the second one personally.
Oh, okay. That's a valid opinion.
Yeah, but the third one was good too. Some of the bosses are pretty tough. I don't.
Did you fight that big stomping thing?
Yeah, the big stomping thing. That's
swamp?
what I was thinking of.
That thing was cool. I liked him. That was kind of raising the bar for Pikmin bosses for me when I saw that huge thing. That was kind of Zelda-ish, I thought.
Yeah, but that boss, he took so long to beat that I remember going straight to him and like the daylight would end before you kill him.
Gotta use your spicy spray, man. You gotta use your spicy spray. Make your guys all, make them all glowing. Yeah. Well, maybe it's just because I played those bosses a lot on the mission mode.
Oh yeah, I didn't play
the
mission mode.
Used to beating them down. All right, so that was 2013. Pretty good year for Wii U.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the best year for the Wii U. I think everyone will agree here. 2014, where Nintendo really came out swinging. We had Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, which is Retro's one and only game for the Wii U. We had Mario Kart 8, which I wasn't the biggest fan of, but it's very popular. A lot of people really liked it, so there you go. Bayonetta 2 came out that year. That was a major third-party grab for them. Captain Toad, which was kind of a spin-off of kind of a smaller spin-off of Mario 3D World, sort of a puzzle game. There was Hyrule Warriors. Look, another Zelda. Hey! There was Shovel Knight, which is kind of a long-anticipated indie game. And I actually liked NES Remix a lot, too. That was a smaller game, but it's just fun and bite-sized, burst and high scores, gameplay and stuff. But it all kind of culminated at the end of the year when we got Super Smash Bros. For Wii U. And that was kind of the game everyone was sort of waiting on. I don't know if we've had a dedicated Smash Brothers Wii U podcast, Chris, just real quick, what are your thoughts on that? And as it, we may do a full Smash podcast later at some point, but for now, like, what are your quick thoughts on Smash 4 and how it relates to the rest of the series? How it compares?
I felt like Smash 4 is kind of like a best of Smash Brothers game. I felt like it was less of a step forward in a lot of the respects. Like Brawl, for example, felt like a crown jewel of Smash because there was so much extra care put into it. Everything was like brand new. They had this amazing varied soundtrack. They had like this really detailed, single player campaign mode. There was just so many options and so many things. A lot of content in Brawl. Even though like I had some issues with the core gameplay, it was still a fun party game. There's just a lot of replayability to it.
Good amount of new characters.
Yeah.
It's very light on clones. Well, that's one of the things I really like about Brawl is like there's almost no clones.
Yeah, but I feel like with Smash 4 they refined a lot of things. The gameplay is very refined. The best thing about it is just the really tight gameplay. Mm-hmm. It lost some of the magic for me. Then again, because if you play online, like most people play, at least in my experience, play the 1 versus 1 for glory mode. Yeah, and it's fun, but I don't think it's as fun as a dedicated fighting game like Street Fighter.
I don't know if I agree.
I think playing.
Then again, I've never been much of a Street Fighter fan myself.
Yeah. Well,
I'm. But you prefer the non-flat stages with items and stuff, right?
Yes, I prefer crazy stages and items. I think that actually adds a lot of skill to the game. You have to account for those things while you're playing. Like Melee, I always loved. I'd play with people. I used to work with people who we'd play like on our breaks. We'd play Smash Brothers. Mm-hmm. They would always want to play like Final Destination, no items. But I was like, no, we got to have at least items on low frequency, and play some sort of stages that are interesting. And it adds this dynamic element that makes you have to react to things other than the person you're fighting. But I guess a lot of people just want to focus on the person you're fighting, which is fine for them. I mean, I'm glad that the game has that option.
I don't disagree. Like I like that element of Smash Brothers, but it's still there. Yeah. I mean, it's there online. There's for fun because it's fun. Now, granted, it doesn't keep track of your like win-loss record or whatever behind the scenes, but I mean, if you don't care about that, you can go online and play with items and everything, no problem. You can do teams and stuff.
Yeah, well, I think what I miss is that I don't really have people around me who would want to play right now, so I haven't been able to really...
I mean, that's kind of becoming an adult, you know? That's your beef's with life.
Dang it, life.
Right? Dang it, life, messing with our Smash games. No, I know the feeling. You know, back in when we were in high school, like, was 99 was like, sheesh, we were in like 9th grade then.
Yeah.
That was when Smash Brothers 64 came out, and we had friends over. We went to people's parties, and they had the 64 out. They had the GameCube out playing Melee. It was just very conducive for that kind of local multiplayer.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'd be nice to have that again. But I don't know. Maybe one day we'll have a bunch of kids that are grown up that want to play Smash.
Yeah, I'm sure we will.
That want to play Smash 7 with us.
But you know, the other thing I didn't like about the Smash 4 is the soundtrack. And like, a lot of the assets are kind of reused. Like, the soundtrack is a lot of things that were in Brawl.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's true. That's kind of true with Brawl as well. I mean, that's part of making the soundtrack so huge is that you're
constantly adding.
You're kind of pulling like fan favorites and stuff from different games, which I think is okay. If they have enough new stuff, and in my opinion, I think they did. At least, especially for the Wii U version, rather than the 3DS version, which had kind of less music. My issue with the soundtrack was that everything was crammed into that 2-minute window for some reason, which was weird because it made songs like, you'll listen to a song, and like I have the CD, you know, that came with the game, or came with the pre-order or whatever, and it has like you'll listen to something like the Zelda theme, and then it'll go into the Underground theme, and then it'll be back where it would normally loop, but we got 30 seconds left, so we're just gonna kind of go bum, 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 and just kind of meander until it gets to that point. You know what I mean? Or it'll be even worse when it's something like the final battle theme from Fire Emblem Awakening, which I think is really good. It gets compressed, you know, which is normally is like 4 minutes long before it loops. They take out big sections of the song and kind of butcher it so it'll fit into that 2-minute limit. And the 2-minute limit is so arbitrary because I know why Sakurai did this, because I know him so well. He loves his 2-minute timed matches, which are always the default in Smash Brothers for some reason. Why, when I turn on Smash, do I have to go to the top and switch it to stock, to switch it to stock 3 or stock 4 every time? I don't want to play time. Time is cheap. Easy, because you just pick Ganondorf and you can just smash everyone. You just pick someone that KOs well and you can win. And it's lame. I don't like time. And I know Sakurai loves it because every online mode is 2 minutes. Every song is 2 minutes. Everything is 2 minutes. And that's my problem with Smash 4. I just realized this while ranting. That's what it is. He loves 2 minutes. 2 minutes is dumb. I want to play longer than that. 2 minutes is nothing.
What if it was 3 minutes?
3 minutes is all right. Yeah, that'll be all right.
Yeah, personally, I actually I don't mind time.
Time, man. Time is okay. It's all right. But why is it the default? Like, or why doesn't it save when you switch?
Right.
Save when you
Right.
Save when you change to stock. I mean, every time I turn on the game, every Smash Brothers game, every one, the current one, all 5 of them. Smash 4 is really good. Smash 4 is really good. I missed the 1-player mode. I'll say it now. I like Subspace Emissary. It was not the most, you know, technically sound kind of thing. It was kind of janky Kong, let's be honest. But it was neat. It was neat to see these characters in a greater context. I mean, it wasn't like this great story or whatever, but it was fun. It was a fun sort of like these really neat cutscenes, and it's like they exist beyond this this basic kind of exhibition match stuff.
Yeah.
So. Just one man's opinion. Two men's opinion, I guess. 2 men's.
I did miss a greater adventure mode. In Melee, like, I thought it was really cool how they had an adventure mode. It made it feel more like, you know, the single-player campaign rather than just the classic sort of fight.
The classic arcade, go up the ladder thing, right?
Yeah.
That was cool. That was cool.
Yep. So I would have liked at least something like that, if not a Subspace Emissary with all the cutscenes, you know?
Yeah. 2014 was a good year for the Wii U. 2015 was pretty good too. It started off with what do we got? We got Kirby and the Rainbow Curse, which flew a little bit under the radar. That was a sequel to Canvas Curse, and I actually I'm giving this the award for best visuals on the system. I really like the way Kirby and the Rainbow Curse looks. It looks good. It's a good looking game, all right? Everything. They arbitrarily like lower the frame rate for certain things just to give it that kind of stop motion look, and you can see like fingerprints and like little marks in the models and stuff. It looks great. And the only real problem with this is that you're not looking at the screen. You're looking at your gamepad the whole time because you're drawing on it. So you really miss out on a lot of these great little details and things, which is it's a little sad. But otherwise, it's a fun game. So we got that early in the year, and there was a little bit of a dry spell, but eventually we got Splatoon, which is my favorite new IP of the generation. I think Splatoon is one of the best games on the system, and it really got quite a big following in Japan. I think it's the most popular property for Nintendo right now on the Wii U in Japan. I mean, not counting Pokemon. I don't know. It's popular in Japan. You know, it's people like it. It ended up being a big hit, and it's surprising because it's a new IP from Nintendo, and it's a shooter, and it's online focused, which are three huge those are three diamonds in the rough. Those are rarities for Nintendo.
Yeah.
So to see a game like this come out at the time it came out, it was just what the system needed. And it had a lot of good press. I've seen those images online. They're like, here's how the different companies handle post-apocalyptic shooters, and it'll show Bethesda, and it'll show Activision, and it's like these gray things, and then it shows Splatoon as one of them, and it's all colorful, because it technically is a post-apocalyptic shooter, which is cool. So great game. And Super Mario Maker came out a few months later, and that was a really good one too. Actually, I think that had a lot of online potential, and I really appreciate the different styles of the games and how they'll take something like a Wiggler, which was only in one game, and then recreate it in the Mario 3 style and the Super Mario Brothers style, and so on. Mario Maker, I think, kind of killed off Nintendo's new Super Mario Brothers brand, but I think that's okay. I would say the best Mario game on the system. There was Xenoblade, which came out near the end of the year. That was a very huge game. And there was Yoshi's Woolly World, which was a good 2D platformer that had kind of a nice felt style, kind of a little bit of a follow-up from Epic Yarn. We had kind of a cruddy E3 that year that announced a couple games that I think a lot of people didn't react well to, which were Mario Tennis Ultra Smash and Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival. And both of these, I think Amiibo Festival was just kind of a board game where you use the amiibos to kind of move around, but it's not an Animal Crossing game. Mario Tennis Ultra Smash, from what I hear, was so bare bones that it just felt like they made it really quickly and there was nothing really in it, It was just kind of the weakest Mario Tennis game from what I'm hearing from people. I haven't played it myself, so I guess I can't really fully speak to that, but they did not get warm receptions.
I haven't played in those either. I did play a lot of Splatoon. I liked Splatoon a lot. Speaking of Animal Crossing, well, I don't know if this is getting too far off topic, but did you know that they actually updated New Leaf with a bunch of new features? Yeah,
it's called Welcome Amiibo, but I wasn't sure if it was just for Amiibo or if it was other stuff too.
It's a lot of other stuff. So the Happy Home Designer, they actually incorporated all those features into New Leaf. So it adds a lot of new customization options for designing your home.
Well, that's pretty neat.
And they also brought in this RV park that has a lot of it's RVs come in and you can get these cards that'll they're collectible cards that you can use to get unique things from different RVs, and they change out more regularly than actual villagers. I was surprised to hear that. It's because it sounds like most companies that do that, they would charge something for it. They'd be like,
yeah, it's kind of funny how much later it is than the game's release too.
Yeah.
2.5 years after. I was so into Animal Crossing New Leaf for a while too. I was trying to get all the sloppy furniture, but once they had that, someone found out a glitch where you could copy items. The whole economy sort of exploded, and I don't know. I just lost all interest from that. It felt like all my
all your effort,
my vast fortune and effort was rendered worthless. I don't know. It was a psychological thing. Can't explain it.
Yeah, in a game like that, when you're expending effort for a certain reward, and suddenly those are the effort required is gone, then you don't feel that incentive to invest anymore.
So that was 2015, and then the Wii U really started to wind down in 2016, where we got a handful of games. Okay, so we got Star Fox Zero, Chris's favorite Color Splash, Chris's other favorite Mighty Number 9. Oh, I should have said Chris's favorite Star Fox Zero at the beginning. That would have made it funnier. Oh well, it's gone now. The moment's gone. I killed the joke. All right, what else? We got Pokken Tournament. There's that was received pretty well. We got Tokyo versus Shin Megami Persona Fire Emblem. Tokyo versus Fire Emblem, and Pinball Arcade, my personal favorite that nobody else likes. One of our commenters was like, "What? A pinball game is better than?" Wait, I forgot what he said.
Kirby,
some other game.
Robot.
Kirby. Yes, it was, because Pinball Arcade's awesome. But yeah, that's just about all that was awesome, I thought, in 2016.
Well, 2016 was the year that I actually got a Wii U. Up until then, I had actually...
How'd you get a Wii U, Chris?
You got it for me for Christmas.
That's right, buddy. Yeah. I'm a good friend.
That you are. Before that, I'd played the games at friends' houses and stuff.
What a time to get a Wii U, huh?
Yeah. The in its terminal year.
In the terminal year, yeah, it's on life support at this point. It's very sad. Very sad. This is a sad funeral. But it will be happier in 2017 when Zelda comes out on March 3rd.
Yeah, that is its swan song.
Swan song, definitely.
Unfortunately,
it's
sharing it with the Switch, but...
Oh. No, don't mention that. We're not talking about that. But you were getting the Wii U version of Zelda, right?
I am, yeah.
Most likely.
Yeah, because it looks like I can't really get my hands on a Switch, so I will be settling for the Wii U version.
No, that's not the language we're going to be using during this podcast, all right? Yeah, so actually that would be interesting because we can kind of compare, the different Zelda games. Like, for instance, if you hate it, I will know why now. It'll have to be because it's the Wii U version. Yeah.
So my experience with the Wii U in 2016 was, it started off pretty good because although I played the heck out of Smash Brothers on the 3DS already, so I didn't actually play a lot of the Wii U one because mechanically it's kind of the same. Although you can use a GameCube controller, which I like better than the 3DS. Mm-hmm. But I played a lot of Splatoon, and it's a really great game. Even though it was a 2015 game, I played it in 2016.
2016, yeah.
And I can really see why that they would bring that to the Switch in terms of a sequel. I thought they did a really cool job supporting it over time.
Yeah, they kind of doled out content.
Yeah, for like a whole year or something, they would have new maps, new weapons, new da-da-da. And that's a really cool thing. Most companies don't do that for free. So like with Mario Kart and Splatoon, which will come out early in the Switch's life cycle, they are looking at that investment over time as part of the subscription service. Oh, I don't want to talk too much about the Switch, but dang it.
I was about to jump in with a buzzer, man. We get into the Switch territory.
Yeah.
It's on our minds, but we must clear our minds.
Okay, so then the next game I played was Star Fox.
Oh yeah, Star Fox.
We've talked about Star Fox on this podcast, and
Star Fox was the best non-tadpole treble Wii U game you played in 2016. Right?
Yeah, that's kind of sobering.
Or would it be Star Fox Guard?
I'm actually not sure which one I prefer. I think that my appreciation for Star Fox Zero grew a little bit with the the combo system and the replayability for getting high scores. I think that's pretty good, and at least for most of the stages. But I thought Star Fox Guard's gameplay was just a little more solid.
It's a neat use of the gamepad.
Yeah,
which by that point in time, is very welcome.
Yes. So I think I'd probably put Guard above Zero, but they're pretty close. Okay. Because Zero's got like a lot more to it, but Guard, the gameplay felt gelled a little better for me. The controls are still kind of weird because you're still having to, angle the camera all around.
Yeah.
It felt a little more cohesive. Like there was a purpose to those controls compared to the purposeless nature of Zero's controls.
Fair enough. On a personal note, I have a special connection with the Wii U because I released Tadpole Treble in 2016. Obviously, it was my first game, and it should be on sale by the time you hear this. So run out and get it before something else may come out next month that may occupy your time.
In my unbiased opinion, as I've said, I think that was the best Wii U game that was released in 2016, so I recommend it.
It was cool. I had a Wii U dev kit. We kind of learned about the innards of the system a little bit, kind of got to know it, got familiar with it, So yeah, that's our life cycle for it. There hasn't really been anything this year, but of course, in a couple of weeks we get Zelda, and I think that'll pretty much be it. So before we wrap it up, I want to talk about the my top Wii U games. Get a whole top 10 list going on. People like that, right?
Oh yeah.
So a few games didn't quite make the cut that I liked. For example, Yoshi's Woolly World, Kirby and the Rainbow Curse, Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, all solid. But let's get to the nitty gritty. Number 10, Hyrule Warriors. This game I played a ton of. I think I put more time into this than any other game on the system besides Smash Brothers. It's well over 100 hours. This game is huge if you want to get everything. You got to go around like this is 8-bit Zelda map, and like every square is a battle, and every square has unlockable stuff. This is something I didn't expect to be very good, honestly, because I never really got into the Dynasty games, but it turned out to be a good amount of fun, and honestly, I really like the whole like Zelda fan service in there, you know. No, nothing gross, just like the Zelda music and the items and the 8-bit stuff. It ended up being a really cool game. So, Chris, did you like Hyrule Warriors or did you hate it?
I did like it. I played several hours of it, I'd say. I think the core gameplay of Dynasty Warriors, I think it leaves a little bit to be desired. I think I like the concept of it. I like the whole big battlefield and your actions kind of nudge the battle in a certain way. And I think that's cool, but a lot of times the combat, I feel like I sometimes detect some sort of tactics and like strategy in it, but it feels often like it's just kind of button mashy.
No, I think I agree. It's a little bit like I would liken it to old beat 'em ups actually, but on a bigger scale.
Yeah.
But old beat 'em ups were like 30 minutes long, over several dozens hours. But for me, the main draw of the gameplay is just the battlefield management. Mm-hmm. Like trying to decide, should I go save this captain? Should I go take this base?
Right.
Or should I, go for this Skulltula or whatever? So I think that kind of always kept me moving and always kept my brain active a little bit more than like the sort of combo heavy, sort of anything goes combat. But yeah, I enjoyed it. Not a bad surrogate Zelda game. I actually like it better than a couple Zelda games. So that's something. Number 9, Shovel Knight. This is an 8-bit style indie game. I'm pretty sure you guys are all familiar with it. But it's definitely worth playing, especially since they have like 3 different versions of it coming out now. You play as the different bosses and stuff, and I think they're all included. So I really have no qualms about this indie game. It's a lot of fun. It's designed well. It wears its influences on its sleeve, which is fun. It's a good game. I don't think anyone really dislikes Shovel Knight. Number 8, the Pinball Arcade. I already talked about this one at length last podcast, but it's excellent. It recreates all these pinball machines in 3D, and they sound just like they did back when you were a kid. So it's exciting. Number 7, Super Mario 3D World. I ragged on this game a little bit, but honestly, the level design is very good. It's a creative game. It doesn't feel bog standard like I feel like the new Super Mario Brothers series can kind of get into sometimes. It's not as exciting as like a Galaxy, but Tokyo, EAD Tokyo, they really know what they're doing when it comes to just presentational values and good gameplay and stuff. So this is pretty solid. And I like the jazz big band kind of soundtrack too. That was a good.
How would you compare the soundtrack to, say, Galaxy?
They both use a live soundtrack, which is cool. Mario 3D World uses kind of a jazz band. So it's a different style, but it's very well written. There's a lot of fun songs to it. The Galaxy soundtracks are 2 of my favorite of all time, so it's not quite as good as those, but it's definitely better than the average Mario game soundtrack, actually. Well, actually, that's kind of hard to say. Average Mario game soundtrack's pretty good. It's strong. It's a strong soundtrack.
Yep.
Number 6, Nintendo Land. I kind of talked about this one at length as well, but I think this one was a very strong launch title. I think I like it more than most people. I got a lot of gameplay out of it, and yeah, it's really good. Good multiplayer, good single player. Number 5, Super Mario Maker. My favorite Mario game on the system. It's just something I've wanted a long time. I think I remember talking to Chris like 15 years ago saying they should make like a my very own Super Mario World game where it's like Super Mario World stuff and you could move it around. And look at Nintendo making that a reality. There's very few limitations to this system. I really only kind of miss the slopes, which has kind of become a thing to complain about for Super Mario Maker, because everything's kind of blocky. But otherwise, I mean, it's just a cool idea, taking these really great core engines and great visuals and making a really strong level editor around them. Very easy to use, very easy to understand, but with a lot of depth to it as well. My only real problem with this game is the amount of garbage online. So stop making bad levels, guys. You're hurting my gameplay experience.
Do the ratings online, are they accurate? So like if something has 5 stars or whatever?
Kinda. I mean, if you like a level, you could give it a star. And I usually give a star if any level, has a modicum of effort in it. The problem is that the most popular things it's kind of like YouTube's most popular. They already have a lot of fans. They put out kind of gimmicky things like auto-scrolling, like auto-running levels, like don't touch anything, and it does this sort of Rube Goldberg device thing, which is kind of fun the first, 10 times you see it, and then it gets a little old. Or a song, or levels that play a song as you run, which is, it's not really a level, So a lot of things like that are kind of at the top of the list. So it's a little iffy.
Okay.
The system. It's not perfect.
I would say that's another game that I would expect to see a version of on the Switch, since that was very successful on the Wii U. And they have a 3DS version too, right?
They do have a 3DS version. From what I hear, it kind of loses a lot of the appeal because you don't really have the online functionality anymore.
Oh, really?
Which is a pretty huge part of the game.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't do that.
It's more of like a Street Pass thing, or you can share with friends. It's very limited from what I hear. And to make up for that, they have this more detailed one-player mode, kind of, or at least more built-in levels from Nintendo. And I hear that's pretty fun, but maybe not worth the price of admission, especially if you have the Wii U one. Yeah. So, game number 4, Pikmin 3. I talked about this earlier as well. I just love the mission mode a lot. I thought the bingo battle multiplayer was a lot of fun. And it just looks really good. It's one of the best looking Wii U games, I think, out there. It's got a nice sort of realism to it. It makes me happy seeing how far this series has come. I look forward to more games in the future, although I am skeptical about the 3DS coming out soon.
Why is that?
I'm not quite sure about that. Well, it's the side-scroller thing. Did you see it?
No, I didn't see it.
Like kind of a weird side-scroller thing. Yeah, maybe you should go... You're making a face. You look like you just ate a lemon. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't want to poo-poo it right away, but I like Pikmin the way it is. I feel like there's not that many Pikmin games, and they don't really need to mess with the formula that much.
All right, I'm going to watch the video here and see what it's like. So, Pikmin 3DS.
Yeah, live reaction from Chris.
Well, there's an onion that's slitting all the way down. Oh, it is definitely 2D. It's walking along still. His whistle reveals some Pikmin.
The corner of Chris's mouth sort of went up in a little bit of a snarl. His eyebrow is furrowed, trying to grasp the material, trying to come to grips with this video.
Being 2D like it is, it almost reminds me of like Lemmings.
Yeah, a little bit. I don't know though. I mean, does anyone really want this? I mean, I don't want to sound negative, but kind of slow-paced looking puzzle gameplay. I mean, it might be good. I don't know.
I mean, it looks like, it'll be more focused on linear puzzles, I guess.
Yeah, Nintendo likes their linear puzzles. I enjoyed Kirby Mass Effect, which it sort of reminds me of when I watched it.
Yeah.
Pikmin, I don't know if we really need to change it up yet. It's not really gotten to that point of being everywhere.
Yeah, it's always been kind of an understated series. There's only been 3 of them, and the third one was 2013?
We have enough puzzle platformers. Yeah, the third one was 2013. We have enough puzzle platformers from Nintendo. We do not have that many real-time strategy games from Nintendo.
Yeah, I think this would have been a better game if it was like a 3D real-time strategy Pikmin. That would have been cool. What do you think about that?
I mean, that's pretty much what Pikmin 3 is, a real-time strategy. Yeah, what do I think about that? I think it's a good idea. I think it was fun when it came out 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Anyway, number 3, Splatoon. So, brilliant new IP, great gameplay concepts. And honestly, I keep saying honestly, I need to watch that. Guys, next time, we need to have an honestly buzzer. When I say honestly or basically or that being said, I hear these phrases, and they just come out and they gotta stop coming out. They're like prisoners escaping the walls of my mouth.
Another one's all in all.
The walls of my mouth. Wait, all in all? Do I say that again?
Yeah.
All in all, honestly, this is basically a big load of gibberish. It's like, it makes it sound like I'm not being honest otherwise.
Yeah.
I gotta preface every sentence with honestly.
To tell you the truth.
Tell you the truth,
because I usually don't do that.
Because I usually lie. Ugh, I gotta stop sounding like a D-bag.
You're fine.
Can I say D-bag on Front of the Family? Okay. All right. Going back. Splatoon, I like the characters, and honestly, I don't know what that was. Here comes Fat Albert. I like the characters. They're super, thanks for asking. I don't know what I'm doing. They are very charming. I think the game has a lot of personality. You know, and which is kind of surprising for the first game in a series to just come out swinging like that. So very fresh, very cool. Looking forward to future installments of Splatoon. So good job, younger team at Nintendo that made it. Okay, 2 left. Chris, can you guess them? You can probably guess them.
Number 2, Smash Brothers.
Smash Brothers 4. Yeah, you're right. It's good. Number 1?
Number 1 is Donkey Kong Tropical Donkey.
That is sort of correct. Nice job. Yep, my favorite Wii U game, my favorite game of the generation is Tropical Freeze. Is the name of it. Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze by Retro. This is one of the best platformers I've ever played, you guys. I think it's even better than Donkey Kong Country 2, which was great. I just think about this game, you know, I lie there thinking about it. I'm outside, I'm thinking about it. There's just so many levels, so many songs, and everything's going on, you guys. Everything's going on in this game. There's things falling over, the levels tell a story. There's just Donkey Kong is just such a great guy. It's Donkey Kong. We need more Donkey Kong in games, I think. He's really the main guy. He's really the guy that it's all about. So go play Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. You will not regret it. You will not hate me forever. Chris, what did you think of... Did you play this? You didn't play this, did you?
I actually bought it, but I haven't played it yet.
Oh, you bought it. Look, you got something to do for the next 18 days.
Yeah, we'll talk about...
When nothing in particular comes out.
Yeah, we'll talk about Donkey Kong on another podcast, I think.
I think I built it up too much. I oversold it.
Oh, yeah, now I'm going to play it. Matthew thinks this is good? Ugh.
Yeah, so it's got it's got the David Wise soundtrack. It's got it's got Retro at the helm. They know what they're doing.
What are they up to now?
I don't know. They take forever. It felt like they were moving quickly when they made the
Metroids.
Like the Metroids kind of all came out in a row, but we had we had 2 games on the Wii, and now we've only had 1 on the Wii U. So yeah, a little curious. But that concludes my top 10 Wii U games, and that comes with a caveat. The best Wii U games that I still need to play, number 3, Xenoblade Chronicles X, number 2, The Wonderful 101, which Chris gave me and I need to get around to, and number 1, Bayonetta 2, because I hear a lot of good things about it. I've played some of it. I've played maybe 3 or 4 hours, and it seems promising, but it's not really enough to judge where it would go in my top 10.
Did you finish the first one?
No, I've played about 5 or 6 hours of that. I kind of went between the 2 of them. I feel like I should beat the first one first, and I think that's partly why I haven't played the other 2 Platinum games as much. So, all in all, oh, dang it. You're right. I do say that a lot. So, there you have it, my friends. The Wii U, a terrific system. Well, not really terrific. You know, it had some terrific games. It's a good system. Its life was unexpectedly cut short. Chris, you want to real quick go over what went wrong and what went right with Wii U? Woo-woo?
I think the naming was a problem. I think calling it something else would have really helped differentiate it from the Wii. And even calling it the Wii 2, that would have been fine. Like, it's boring, sure. But if they wanted to bank on the Wii name still, I would have called it the Wii 2. People know what that is. Wouldn't have been confusing.
Pull a Sony.
Yeah, why not?
And focus more on marketing the system itself. So, well, I guess naming it Wii 2 would make that clear too, but yeah, it was a little confusing not really seeing the system anywhere in the
when they
ads,
presented it, they should have shown the console. Like, it's a weird perception thing, but just seeing the console kind of tells your brain, oh, it's a console, not just a gamepad. Because when they showed it the first time, they didn't even show the console at all. Maybe they weren't finished designing it or something.
You're right. It was you could really only see it like when they did the live action beginning part with the kid coming into, or the dad coming into the living room or whatever. You could kind of see it on the shelf, but it wasn't like a focus at all.
Yep.
One problem I think the Wii U had was I think the gamepad idea is just a harder sell.
Yeah.
It's a harder sell than the Wii, where it's like you're swinging a racket, you're bowling a bowling ball, or the Next system, which is a portable and a home console. But the Wii U, it's sort of hard to kind of explain. You have to kind of think about it a little bit. Yeah, your brain has to kind of work a little bit to kind of see why this is a cool idea.
Right.
You know, it's not as immediately sellable.
It's not quite a tablet. It's not quite a controller. It's not quite a Wiimote. So it's kind of got elements of all those things.
What is it?
I wish that Nintendo had made a few more games that really focused on the gamepad's, unique capabilities. A lot of their games like Donkey Kong, Mario 3D World, and Zelda aren't really using it. And I think that's disappointing.
Yeah.
It sounds like Mario Maker uses it a good bit, right?
Yeah, Mario Maker does it well because you're using it as you're using it to play stuff, and it's very intuitive with the touch screen and the stylus. Mario Maker uses it well. I think Splatoon uses it very well.
Yeah, I think if you make a console like this, you make a controller that has a specific feature, you got to use it. You got to demonstrate it. You got to get people excited about it. Otherwise, why should the third-party developers use it? If people aren't really interested in playing games that make use of that, it seems like it's like they might as well just release the Wii U with a regular controller, just use the Wiimotes and the Pro Controller and that's it.
Yeah, that's pretty on point. I think that's become a pretty big sticking point for the Wii U because we've been saying for years, we want to see more stuff that takes advantage of the gamepad.
Yep.
And it came every now and then, but just not nearly,
And they could have
as often as it
and
could
if they'd have done that, if they'd have just scrapped the gamepad, just had a regular controller like the Pro Controller, then they probably could have cut the price by $100. And what if that had been their price point?
Probably.
I mean, that would have probably changed their fates quite a bit. To call it the Wii 2, just cut the price by so it comes out as $249 with the deluxe version.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, but then you got to ask yourself, what's the selling point of this system?
It's more powerful.
Is it?
Than the Wii? Yeah, it's a lot more powerful than the Wii.
It's a little more powerful than the Wii.
It's a lot more powerful than the Wii.
Is it a lot more powerful? I don't know if it's a lot more. I mean, I know it can do HD.
The Wii's graphics
can do HD,
were pretty janky in most games.
In most games, but then you look at like a Galaxy or something
Galaxy was good.
that really pushed it.
Yeah.
It's more powerful, but pretty rarely a selling point for a Nintendo system, I think. Except for when it was a generation jump like Mario 64
well, see, that's the thing. So
GameCube.
They had two competing philosophies. On one hand, they wanted to do something innovative and creative and try to make something new that is also hits, the Wii's niche of, something innovative that takes off like crazy and people get really excited about it. On the other hand, they wanted to bank on the Wii's name and not do something too different because
that's the Wii.
It's the Wii, and the Wii is what people know. The Wii is what sold like hotcakes, and
has expectations attached to it, motion controls and stuff.
Yeah, so I think they should have picked one of those two things. They should have either done something. They should have separated themselves from the Wii even more and not use Wiimotes, maybe, and found some way to really just go whole hog on the gamepad, or if they scrap the gamepad and just call it the Wii 2, honestly, that's going to sell a lot because the Wii's so popular. If they could have made the Wii U a little more powerful than it was, scrap the gamepad, and honestly, that actually frees up a good bit of processing power as well. Not having the extra screen, because that the processing has to do two screens at once, so that'll improve the graphics right there. And I don't know, bump up the graphics a little more past that, and you have a console that's on par with the Xbox One and whatever. That maybe a little step down, but not a big step down like it currently is. And you just call it the Wii 2 and stick with the Wiimotes and a Pro Controller. And I think that would have just been a safe way to go that would have been successful and had a pretty good library probably. It probably would have been the same library we have right now with just some slight changes. And with lots more games.
Maybe you're right. I'm still wondering if that would be enough to make developers want to develop for Nintendo instead of the other systems.
Well, it depends whether the chicken comes before the egg, because if it sells like crazy just because it's the Wii 2,
I see. Then you have that install base.
Yeah. Then by virtue.
Another timeline, another time.
Yeah.
We could have seen this version. Oh well, it is what it is, and it is dead.
Yeah, just about. Hey, it's got its last gasp.
It's got its last hurrah. That's right. And what a gasp it will be. So hang on to your pants, folks. We are in for the big one. All right. Well, guys and gals and listeners and readers and all of our critics, all all of our mini critics. What did you think of the Wii U? Was it your favorite? Was it your second favorite? Was it something else?
I'm actually curious. How you mentioned that it was a good console. What would you consider not a good console?
I like how passive aggressive that question is. It's very nice. I'm gonna get some hate for this. I don't think the Xbox is a good console.
Yeah,
I don't like the Xbox. I never liked it. I think it's bad. I don't think it's good. It doesn't have any games I want to play, except for the Perfect Dark remake. Wait, no, that was on the Xbox 360. Scratch that. Xbox doesn't have any games I want to play. I don't like it. I'm sorry, Xbox fans. I don't like the Xbox.
No,
shooters.
I would agree.
Shooters
with
that aren't Splatoon.
Didn't have a good controller.
Didn't have a good controller.
Was big and really big and bulky.
So fat. Yeah. Man, that thing's so fat. Never saw such a fat system in my life. Yeah. It's the fattest thing. Go tap on a treadmill, Xbox. Taking up more space in my TV.
Now, would you say that the Wii U, how would you rank it against other Nintendo consoles?
Oh, not so good.
Nah, okay.
Not so good. Are we including handhelds?
Sure.
If we're including handhelds, I would probably put it above the Virtual Boy.
Okay.
And I would probably put it above the Game Boy Advance. Maybe. I've started to like the Game Boy Advance more over the past couple years. But I still think of nothing but a bunch of SNES ports that weren't as good when I think of it. Mm-hmm. And this isn't really fair because I really like Advance Wars. I love Mother 3. And there was Harvest Moon. There were a couple good Metroids. I might still put the Wii U above the Game Boy Advance. I actually got a lot of use out of its gamepad functionality. You know, playing stuff off the TV, using it as a remote, carrying it around and watching stuff. So, yeah, I would put it above those two. I would probably put it below everything else, though.
Interesting.
So it would be the lowest home console for me in terms of Nintendo systems.
Okay.
Sorry, Wii U, but I did enjoy it. It had a small but strong library.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. Although for me, I had a good time with the Game Boy Advance. I thought it had a pretty decent library. It was less satisfying than the original Game Boy or the DS, but
yeah. I mean, it was good. I mean, all of those things are in a category above the Virtual Boy, obviously.
Yeah.
It's pretty close for me. I think I got more enjoyment out of my Wii U than my GBA. Okay. GBA related paraphernalia.
Well, let us know how you guys like the Wii U and how you disliked Matthew for not liking the Xbox. For the record, I don't like the Xbox.
It's okay.
Either.
They're for all the family fans. They like Nintendo, right?
Yeah.
That means they hate everything else, right?
Yeah.
That's how all Nintendo fans think, right? Like me. They're all like me. It's just a bunch of bees running around saying the word honestly a lot.
I think that's correct, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sounds good. All right, everyone. Well, thanks for joining us once again, and be sure to tune in next month when we discuss a brand new video game for the Wii U that is coming out on the Wii U. It's going to be really great.
Yes.
And it is. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. A great Wii U game coming out next month.
Isn't it coming out for another console too?
No,
Oh, sorry.
Probably just the Wii U.
Okay.
So, all right, folks. I'm gonna leave now. So thank you for listening, and I am Chris.
And I'm Matthew.
I mean, what? Okay, cut it. I meant to say I am Matthew, and or he's Chris, or he's Chris.
That's what we got.
Oh well, we'll leave it with maniacal laughter.
Okay.